I never thought I'd be writing this story, but here I am. It started at my cousin's graduation party last year. I noticed this beautiful woman kept glancing in my direction throughout the evening. Being on the heavier side since childhood, I wasn't used to attention from attractive women. My past attempts at dating usually ended with rejection or awkward laughs. After gathering my courage for what felt like hours, I finally approached her. To my surprise, she was incredibly friendly, and we talked for the rest of the evening. We clicked instantly, discussing everything from our favorite books to our career goals. She was different from anyone I'd met before, smart, ambitious, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. We exchanged numbers, and I called her the next day. From there, we started meeting regularly for coffee and lunch. I learned she had just finished college and was actively job hunting. What impressed me most wasn't just her looks, it was her drive and determination. She had clear goals and knew exactly what she wanted in life. My dating history was practically non-existent, aside from a brief high school relationship. It wasn't that I couldn't maintain relationships. Most women just weren't interested in dating someone who spent their weekends coding and reading science magazines. But with her, everything felt different. She appreciated my nerdy side and never made me feel self-conscious about my interests. 3 months into her job search, she was struggling financially. Her parents couldn't support her anymore, and sharing a tiny apartment with her messy roommate was becoming unbearable. The roommate constantly had boyfriends over, making it impossible for her to focus on her job applications. Seeing her stress, I offered to let her move in with me. I had a decent job in software development that paid well enough to support both of us. We moved into a one-bedroom apartment, and I covered all the expenses, rent, bills, groceries, everything. She took care of the household chores and made our place feel like a real home. We rarely fought, and when we did, it was over minor things that we quickly resolved. She had told me about her past relationship in college and how badly it ended. I promised to be different, and I meant it. I'd never been the type to lose my temper or act aggressively, and I was determined to show her what a healthy relationship looked like. We established open communication rules, always telling each other where we were going and who we were with. I wanted her to feel secure and trusted. As time went on, we became part of each other's families. She had a best friend, Sophie, who visited us often. Sophie worked as a manager at a local department store and lived with her sisters. She even tried to get my girlfriend a job there, but my girlfriend declined, saying she wanted a corporate position instead. Sophie would sometimes joke about how spoiled my girlfriend had become, living with me without working. But I didn't mind providing for her. I was happy to give her time to find her dream job. One evening, while celebrating my promotion at a nice restaurant, she surprised me by asking about marriage. I hadn't expected it so soon, but the idea wasn't completely foreign to me. I had actually bought a ring already, but was waiting for her to establish her career first. However, she found the ring in my closet before I could plan the perfect proposal, so I ended up proposing earlier than intended. When we told Sophie about our engagement, her reaction wasn't what we expected. Instead of excitement, she seemed shocked and almost worried. She forced a smile and congratulated us, but something felt off. Later, when my fiancé was in the kitchen, Sophie tried to warn me that I didn't really know who I was marrying. I didn't understand what she meant at the time, and she was a bit drunk, so I didn't push for an explanation. The wedding planning began, and that's when things started to change. She wanted an extravagant wedding, way beyond my budget. I tried explaining that we needed to save money for our future, especially since we both wanted kids soon after marriage. Finally, she decided to get a job to help with the expenses, particularly for her wedding dress and bridesmaids' dresses. I was proud of her taking this step, though I noticed all her earnings went toward wedding accessories while I still covered everything else. That's when things started getting strange. Sophie began texting me frequently, good morning messages, random questions throughout the day, and updates about wedding shopping trips with my fiancé. When we met in person, she acted normally, but the constant messages made me uncomfortable. I asked her to stop, worried it might cause problems between my fiancé and her best friend. I didn't tell my fiancé about this because I didn't want to ruin their friendship or complicate the wedding preparations. Little did I know, everything was about to fall apart at the bachelor and bachelorette parties. The night before our wedding, everyone was staying at the Royal Plaza Hotel. I was at the hotel bar with some friends when Sophie called me. At first, I ignored it. Her constant messaging had made me wary. But then she mentioned something about my fiancé and a familiar name that made my stomach turn. I took one of my friends with me and headed upstairs. Sophie was waiting outside their party room. Before she could explain everything, I heard sounds from inside that made me freeze. When I opened the door, I saw something that shattered my world. My fiancé was with another man. Not just any man, but her ex-boyfriend from college. She scrambled to cover herself when she saw me. I just stood there, tears running down my face. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. I just turned and walked away. Behind me, I could hear her screaming at Sophie, "You ruined everything. My life was perfect." Sophie shouted back, "He deserved to know. He's been nothing but good to you, and you're still sneaking around with that loser." I went back to the bar and drank until I couldn't feel anything anymore. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of missed calls. When I left my room, she was already in her wedding dress, looking like she'd been crying all night. She ran to me, asking why I wasn't dressed for our wedding. That's when I lost it. I pushed her away and announced to everyone that the wedding was off. Everyone was shocked. My parents, our friends, the wedding guests, nobody knew what had happened. They kept asking questions, but I couldn't bring myself to explain. She pretended to faint, and people rushed to catch her. I went back to my room, packed my things, sent a quick apology message to my friends, and left. I turned off my phone and disappeared for a week. When I finally met her again, she acted like I was the one who had done something wrong. She was angry at me for embarrassing her at our wedding. She told her parents I called off the wedding because I was drunk. But then she did something I never expected. She admitted she'd been seeing her ex-boyfriend throughout our relationship. Her excuse? I worked too much and didn't give her enough attention. The same work I did to provide for us, to give her the lifestyle she wanted. She asked me to set another wedding date, saying she couldn't handle the embarrassment of a canceled wedding. She only apologized once, and even then, it didn't feel genuine. I kicked her out of my apartment and changed the locks. Later, I met with Sophie to thank her for telling me the truth. That's when I learned everything. My fiancé had been using my money to support her ex-boyfriend. All those expensive things she claimed to need, the money went to him. Those daily gym sessions, she was meeting him instead. Sophie told me that just days before showing off her engagement ring, my fiancé had told Sophie she wanted to marry her ex-boyfriend because she was deeply in love with him. That's when I understood why Sophie had been trying so hard to contact me. She'd been looking for a way to tell me the truth, but I had to brush her off. Sometimes I feel stupid for not seeing the signs earlier, for getting trapped so easily. But I made my decision. There would never be another wedding. When I met my ex-fiancé again to return her things, she showed her true colors. Looking me straight in the eyes, she said, "Do you think calling off the wedding will help you find someone better? No woman in her right mind would want to be with an overweight man like you. You should feel lucky I even considered marrying you." Her words cut deeper than anything I'd ever experienced. That's when I realized she had been using me all along. Yes, I was overweight, but I didn't want a marriage where my wife thought she was doing me a favor by being with me. She threw the engagement ring at me and stormed out. I blocked her on everything: social media, phone, email. Before blocking her parents, I visited them and told them the whole truth about their daughter. They were devastated when they learned what she had done. About a week after our cafe confrontation, I started getting calls from unknown numbers. When I finally answered one, I recognized her voice immediately. She sounded different, calmer, more polite. She asked to meet, saying she had something important to tell me. I refused and told her to say whatever it was over the phone. Then came the bombshell. She claimed she was pregnant with my baby. I couldn't help but laugh. It wasn't even April Fool's Day, and here she was trying to pull this stunt. I hung up on her, but she kept calling from different numbers, so I blocked each one as they came. Later, Sophie told me the real story. The ex-boyfriend had abandoned my ex-fiancé after finding out about the pregnancy. He'd gotten used to the comfortable life funded by my money, and once that stopped, he wanted nothing to do with her or the baby. When he left, she thought she could trick me into taking responsibility. 2 days ago, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. Sophie happened to be there checking on me. My ex-fiancé completely lost it when she saw Sophie. She started screaming, calling Sophie every horrible name she could think of, accusing us of having an affair behind her back. She claimed Sophie had destroyed her life by exposing her secret. I had to call the police to remove her, and yesterday I filed for a restraining order. Now she's jobless, pregnant, and alone. The life she built on lies has completely fallen apart. As for Sophie and me, we're just friends. She stops by sometimes to make sure I'm doing okay. But there's nothing romantic between us, and I don't think there ever will be. After everything that's happened, I'm not ready for another relationship. I'm focusing on healing now. Some days are harder than others. When I think about how she used me, how she laughed at my weight, how she took advantage of my kindness, it still hurts. But I'm starting to see that I dodged a bullet. A marriage built on lies and manipulation would have been far worse than the pain I'm feeling now. My friends keep telling me I'll find someone better, someone who will appreciate me for who I am. Maybe they're right, but for now, I'm working on myself. I've started going to therapy, joined a gym, and thrown myself into work projects. Not because I want to prove her wrong, but because I want to be stronger for myself. Looking back, there were red flags I chose to ignore. The way she never contributed financially even after getting a job. How she always had excuses for where she was going. The constant need for more money. But love makes you blind sometimes, and I was too afraid of losing her to question things. I've learned that someone who truly loves you won't make you feel lucky to be with them. They won't use your insecurities against you. They won't betray your trust while living off your generosity. These are hard lessons, but necessary ones. The wedding that never happened cost me a lot of money, but it saved me from a lifetime of betrayal. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Sophie hadn't told me the truth that night. Would I have discovered the affair eventually? Would I have spent years being deceived while supporting both my wife and her lover? I'm not angry at Sophie for waiting so long to tell me. She was caught between loyalty to her friend to doing what was right. In the end, she chose to tell me the truth, even though it cost her their friendship. That's real friendship, being willing to hurt someone to save them from something worse. As for my ex-fiancé, I hear she's still trying to contact me through mutual friends. Some people tell me I should talk to her, help her with a pregnancy situation. But I know better now. That chapter of my life is closed, and I'm not opening it again, no matter what story she tries to sell me. It's strange how life works sometimes. What felt like the worst day of my life, my ruined wedding day, turned out to be the day that saved me from a huge mistake. I'm still healing, still learning to trust again, but at least now I'm on the right path. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to feel like myself again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.